So here we are, 1 week later. Did I get my groove on, or is it time to move on? We'll find that later in the video. But firstly, I want to talk about the Ableton video, which is their vision for the Move and how it fits into their devices in their workflows. So their video suggests that we go out with the Ableton Move, we then jump onto Note, and then we go on to Push or Live to finish things off. Now, in the real world, it's more likely that we're going to go on the Note first and then go to Move and then Push in Live. So, I've never seen a music device outdoors. I've never seen someone with a MPC Live 2, for example, out and about on the streets. I've never seen anybody with all the Roland Air stuff. I think a lot of people like to be discreet when they're out, don't to draw attention to themselves, especially with flashy lights and hipster-looking music gadgets. So I think the real case for these are probably home use around the house, friends' houses, sat in the garden or something on holiday. But I don't think I'd take it outside. I certainly wouldn't wander around the wood doing field recordings with it either. I mean, that's what the phone's for. If I'm going to do a little bit of music discreetly, I'll be on my phone on the train or on my laptop with a pair of like earbuds or something, or cabled earbuds. So, in the real world, I don't think the vision that these manufacturers see for these devices, I don't think it really plays out. So yeah, that's my take on their video. But anyway, so firstly, I think Ableton have taken some tips from Apple and how they're going about with their business model. So we've got like a seamless integration between devices. So very much like the Apple products, you've got maybe the iPhone would be Ableton Note. You've got an iPad, which is the Move. You've then got Push Standalone, which would be your MacBook. And then you've got the fully fledged Ableton Live, which would be your desktop. So it's a very good business model, to be honest. And I think they've took that model and used it in the music industry. And this is what we all needed. We need this integration. So I love AirDrop. It's so handy. And you've got AirDrop. You've got the Ableton version of AirDrop with their cloud. So, and I also think there's a lot of similarities between iOS. So you've got the Note software, which is iOS, and then you've got the PC software, which is macOS. So, there's a lot of it's the same business model really, and I think it works really well. And Ableton are probably the first people to achieve it, and they have achieved it, and they've got that sort of Apple vibe to them. Everything's minimalistic, very well thought through. They're very much thinking about the end user when they're building products, and it comes across with this little machine. It really does tick the boxes. So I would say, if I had a crystal ball and I was looking to the future, I would say the Push 4 very likely to have like a Note suite in it, like an advanced version of this sort of Note software, because I think on a device like the Push, a simplified workflow, but obviously with greater detail into sound editing and sampling and things like that, would work better probably than they're trying to port Ableton Live into the Push. So yeah, if I look at my crystal ball, I'd say Push 4 ARM processor. I'd say Note Suite, maybe they could call it, as the software. And then maybe you could probably say something like Ableton Live would become Ableton Live Studio, which is the flagship DAW that gels all their devices together. So yeah, that's my take on that. So Standalone, I've had it in Standalone. I've tried it out quite a bit. It's got a great sound to it. All the presets are lovely. They're really well thought through, very easy to tweak. Actually, at this point, I will say, if you haven't got the money to buy one of these, and let's face it, we're not all rich. If you haven't, then get the app, get the Note app, because it's the same. So if you want to know what the sound's like, or how the drum kits are and how it all works, then I think if you get the Note app and you get good on it, and when you do get round to having the money to maybe purchase one or making the decision to buy one, you can definitely make an educated decision based off the Note app. It's it's pretty much the same. So yeah, like I say, it's great sounds, very professional. It's a toy little gadget to show kids. Yeah, it is, but it's also very professional. It feels like a Push. It's very well made. It's heavy. It's delicately beautiful almost. The buttons are perfect. The knobs are just right. And the pads, they're okay. They're a bit like Push 2, nothing special, but they do the job, and I haven't got any faults with the pads at all. Price-wise, I know I did moan about the price, but actually, when I started looking around at things like the Novation Law Pad Pro and the circuit tracks, okay, yeah, these things are getting pricey. £200-300 for a lot of those items. Some of the Roland Era stuff, it's always two to 400. So actually, I think that they're in the right ballpark. If this had been £499, then I would have struggled. I really would have done. But £399 is for me in pounds, British pounds. I think they've got it right. And I was a bit harsh on my first critique of the price, but actually having done some more research on it and spending some time with it as well, you do get a lot for your money. I mean, even like a Novation Launchpad, which I've got, I mean, it hasn't got an audio interface for starters. It hasn't got the knobs. It hasn't got a screen. It's got a step sequencer, but not a dedicated step sequencer, and there's no battery. So, those are just, it hasn't got a speaker. I mean, you can just keep going on and on and on. It hasn't got a knob, data wheel. Yeah, so it's just, yeah, it's worth the money. So, yeah, definitely worth the money. High build quality, and it's also a very capable drum machine and step sequencer, which is what I tend to use it for the portability. It's just having to play around with some drum patterns, things like that. Okay, so what I don't like, no, I wouldn't say don't like. What I say is missing. Well, no, I'll start with my don't like first. 8 tracks, yeah, I'm still a bit upset about it. It works really well for 8 tracks, the way the knobs are set up, and the pad layer is 8. I think it could be 8 tracks. Even if it was an extra couple of tracks were audio tracks and you could bounce to audio and put maybe your instrument bounces into a clip. I know you can use the sampler, but I'd rather keep that clear. But if you had an audio track, you could just launch the clips, maybe. That's something. But I would like to see a few more instruments in it. So that's my little gripe about that, and I've already mentioned that before. So what we're missing, I think, sample slicing, 16, 32 pad slices, that'd be quite sweet. Probability on the step sequencer, that'd be pretty useful. And the only other thing I thought was missing was sidechain compression. But I think loads of people are going to be coming into this saying, I want this, I want this, I want MIDI this, I want to do that, I want to press this, I want to be like the circuit tracks, I want to be like the launch pad. And the minute that happens and Ableton start listening to that, you've got to be careful with this software you don't get it bloated. So we don't want to be menu diving and having so much complexity on it that it loses its vibe. But there are some basic things that could come into this with how it already is to make it work a little bit better. And there's some redundant features, as I'll talk about in a minute, or buttons that could feel like you should be doing something with them. So the use case, yeah, I mean, I've jammed around in it and I've enjoyed it. It's a bit of fun. I've hit a wall with the 4 tracks, I'll be honest, at the moment. I don't like workarounds. I find workarounds is just a word for when something doesn't work how it should do and there's a feature missing and you have to do 3 more steps to sort of do the same thing. So I don't like workarounds. But I mean, I think what would be really nice if we did have like wavetable on here and operator and things like that, because you could just go in and do you could sit with this and I could lose myself for hours sound design on it. Really, really could. Just having the knobs on there and just in the oscillators. I mean, you can do some of that on some of the presets, but as a sound design tool, just getting a few nice presets and then bouncing them over to Ableton, it could work really well for. And set triggering as well. So when you've got sets, if we went to there and press sets, is to play one set and then it'll wait for it to finish and then be waiting to trigger the next set, where at the moment you seem to press it, it just goes straight to it. If there was just a little where it just completed the loop, I think then you've got a possibility of 32 little sets. So you could kind of start thinking about even performing with it. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I've seen some videos already online and I'm seeing some very creative people doing some very creative things with it. And this is after 1 week. So you come back to me in 6 months and I think we're going to see a lot of people doing a lot of things with this little machine. There will be workarounds. They will be playing it like that. I'm not a workaround guy. I like it to do something, and then I like to finish tracks in in Live Suite and get that sort of finished sounds, because I tend to have quite a lot of tracks on the go when I'm doing stuff. So, but yeah, I imagine some people are going to get very creative with it. So what else we got? Yeah, so the only other thing I'm going to talk about is controller mode. For me, I've seen a lot of people say, is it a mini push? Yes, it is actually. Yeah, it is a mini push. It's almost a mini push 3 because it's got the audio interface with it as well. And it works very well as a controller. There are some little niggles I've got with it at the moment, which may be a user error. Maybe you can help me out with if anybody knows the answers to it. But I've been trying to look at how to do a couple of things and I just couldn't find how to do them. So if we go into settings and we go to put it into control live, which is there we go, that's it, that's queued up with my laptop now. Lost my sound because the audio device been disconnected, but never mind, I won't have to worry about that. So yeah, just a couple of things to do with the control. Obviously, the first thing you notice when you get into controller mode, going back to my last video, yeah, you get vertical tracks. You get just like you do on the push, which is what I wanted to see in Standalone, to be honest. But they've done it. So the first thing I would say about it is that those are scene launches on track 8, and I would have preferred those to have been here, to be honest with you, because as you can see in session mode, these are dead. They don't do anything, and you waste a whole track there with those. So yeah, scene launches, please. That'll work quite nice. And what you can do on it, you can scroll left and right, up and down, just on the push, so you can get quite complex. You could go up to as many tracks as you like, I guess. I don't know what the limit is, but certainly get to 16 or so, I would have thought, quite comfortably, and be able to still use it and just launch your scenes. As I suggested in the other video, we've got record arm. So here are your tracks, so you can record arm your different tracks. You can see they're coming up wavetable arms. And what else we got there? We've got the kits. That's the master one. So that's drift. So if we go to drift, we've got all the sounds there. So yeah, so this is where I get a bit confused. So let's say we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go to track 5, because that's on my computer. That's saying that's track 4, track 5. Yeah, because I keep forgetting that this one's disappeared. So that's track 5. That's wavetable. That's armed. So we click, and there's wavetable. Okay, but it still says MAUD on the screen, which is quite interesting. It does it all the time, so I think that's a little bug. And what would be nice then is if that's armed, you might be able to just turn that then and just choose what track you want. So you can see, oh, track 3, I want to go to track 5. Yeah, so I think scenes, choosing your track, that's dead, that's not doing anything. And also there must be a little bug because it's holding memory for something I've done somewhere else when I've armed another track somewhere. I don't know quite how I did that. So there's drift. And then we go, and it says MAUD again. So it's probably user error. Maybe there's a reason it doesn't. I need to, as another button press. I don't know. But I would have thought if I selected a track, it would tell me what it was. Sometimes it works when you come back out of it and go back into note mode. But that's one little thing. So if I go back into session view, so what I'd like to see here, which is another thing that bugs me, which is people might know the answer for, I'd like to see track volume for the tracks. That would just be really easy, because having to press, I think what button was I coming? Having to press the button there if it's a certain track, and then there, and then to set the track volume is a bit fiddly. Where if you're just doing a little live clip sort of set, you could just adjust the volumes at the top. That would be useful. And then the other thing that I'm stuck on is sends. I'd like to be able to use the reverb and delay sends and just add a bit to the tracks here and there, and then click another button and go to decay, maybe click it again, and then go to pan, just to flick through some things. And I can't find out, actually I've been everywhere on this, pressed every single button, and I can't find out how to get return sends onto the tracks easily. So yeah, in the comments, if anybody has got any ideas on that, please let me know, because I'm sort of hit a bit of a brick wall with that at the moment. So yeah, there we are, a week later. Ableton Move, yes, I'm definitely going to get my groove on with it. I think there's going to be some exciting updates to come. Please, Ableton, don't bloat it with too many menu divey sort of feature requests. But as it stands now, it's really, really good. It just needs a little bit of tweaking, a couple of firmware updates, and I think we'll be very, very in software updates. I think we're very, very close to the perfect machine. So one thing I will mention before I go actually is working in controller mode again. Is when you've got this plugged into a MacBook, 100% battery on the MacBook, and you haven't got power supply to anything. So you're out and about. Let's say you're sat on a train. You're sat on the table, you've got your MacBook there, you've got this plugged in on USB-C. When I'm running Ableton Live, 8 tracks, this is very power hungry. So my battery on my MacBook went down to 68% in 1 hour. Now I did think maybe, because it's got the audio interface in it as well, I thought maybe that's got something to do with it, or maybe I had the wrong tracks on Ableton Live, so I don't really keep an eye on my battery. It usually lasts me quite a few hours. So I thought I'd do a little experiment. So I unplugged this, I grabbed my launch pad. I mean, that hasn't got all the features this has got, of course, but I did plug my launch pad in and put that, recharged my MacBook for 1 hour, 100% battery, tried the launch pad, same track, same layout, everything was the same, and that was 91% after an hour. So it does use a little bit more juice for the audio interface, the processor. So there we go, that's it. So it's definitely groove on. It's going to stay with me. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to look forward to watching lots of YouTube videos of clever people doing clever things with it and being creative. And I'll be using it for just a bit of drum pad sketching, a little bit of synth tweaking, and I certainly look forward to what Ableton have got to come in the future with it. And see you on the next video.